For this video, I wanted to go over something that's really important that's easy to overlook when you're prepping, and that's having books on the shelf. Everybody goes immediately to their cell phone or their laptop and they look up whatever they want to find, and it's wonderful when it works, but if the internet is down, if the power is down, there's no way for you to get the information that you need. And having it right on your shelf is really important. I was an ER nurse. I worked NICU, neonatal ICU, pediatric ICU, and Peds. And I did float around the hospital as well, so I have a strong nursing background to pull from. Most people don't. But even with a nursing background, I still need to look things up all the time. I need dosages for infants, children, adults, people who are overweight, people who are elderly. The dosage changes for all of that. I also need to know the side effects of medications. I need to know what medications can't be given with what other medications, together, that the combo would be deadly or could have some really serious side effects. And then other things just as simple as how to take care of an injury, an illness, how to figure out what in the world you're dealing with. There's all different levels of books you can get from, doctor level, a physician's level, all the way down to a layperson's level. When I go to the thrift store, I am always looking for new books. I don't think you can have enough books on the shelf, because even if you have something that's similar to another one, someone else in the neighborhood may need them, someone else in your family may need them. So you can never have enough books. You also need to have books on a variety of topics. What you see here was one day of thrift store shopping at one store, and I already have a lot of these, usually from, different publishers, different authors, but I'm always looking for something to put on my shelf or to give to someone else that I know is prepping as well. They're pretty cheap. You can get these anywhere from 50 cents to $4. The books that you see here, most of them I got on deep discount, 75% off. So I'll go over some of these. I probably have over 300 medical type books. Everything from, what to do if there's no doctor, special ops medics, things where it's critical. Time is really critical. You need to know what to do right away. And then I have things like, the Mosby's Dictionary of Medicine, Nursing, and Health Professionals, where you might be looking in one of these nursing books or another book and it has a phrase or it has a word that you've never heard of before, and you can go to the Mosby's and look it up, and it has a really nice description, and I'll show you what the inside of these books look like as well. And because I'm also an herbalist, I collect herb books, and I probably have close to 350 or 400 herb books alone. And that is because herbs are a little bit different than medications, and what you find in one book does not necessarily mean you'll find that information in another book. A lot of the more modern books for herbs are all, what do I call it? I call it eye candy. It's all beautiful pictures, big pictures, very little text. They don't give you a lot of information. In some of them, they just give you the bare basics. What I like, and I will find my box of herb books that I have stored, and I'll get those out in another video, but what I like are the old books, from anywhere from the 1800s up until about the 1980s, where they have very in-depth information. And there's even a PDR, a physician's desk reference, for herbs, which most people don't know. And if you get that, you can easily look up any herb, and it tells you how to make it, how to make a tincture, how to make a glycerite, how to make a tea, how to make anything you need to out of that herb. It tells you the side effects. It tells you what medications, modern day medications, you cannot take with it. It gives you all kinds of information on it, and that's something that I think everybody should have if they're going to be using herbs, because herbs do have quite a powerful impact on the human body, and if you mix those with medications, you can be creating quite a problem. Okay, so what we're going to do first is, I guess we'll do the Red Merck Manual of Medicine Information. I like the professional manual. There's two of them. There's two different versions of this. So the Merck Manual, I'm just opening it up, and this is what you're going to find. Biology of the digestive system, and it talks about mouth, throat, and esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the pancreas, the liver, the gallbladder, all in terms that you can understand without a medical background. It shows diagrams. There's the large intestine over here. It talks about digestive disorders, different tests that could be done, and we'll just keep going until it talks about, okay, we've got acid reflux, we've got hiatal hernia. It's just going to keep going and going, but it will eventually talk about prognosis and treatment, symptoms, how to diagnose and treat. So it's a really simple book that you can get for anywhere from 50 cents to $4 at your local thrift store, have on your shelf, and if you ever had any issues, you could look it up. If the power or the internet goes down, you have this information at your fingertips too. So this is a good one. If you have any medical background, get the one that's for professionals. So we'll put this one aside. And none of these are in any sort of order. The red tag sale, I got this for 75% off, so this one was 50 cents, this whole book. The PDR, Family Guide to Prescription Drugs. Again, this one is in layman's terms, so it's very easy to understand for anybody without a medical background. The PDR is the physician's desk reference, and it's usually a very, very thick book, like almost 4 inches thick, and it has every medication out there. It has all the information on that medication. Sometimes the pages are 4 or 5 pages long on one medication, even longer. You don't need it that in depth. This one would work just as well. And again, this one was 50 cents. So let's see if we can find something in here that everybody might know. Okay, here's an easy one. Deltazone. It's actually prednisone. It goes by the brand name Deltazone. It tells why it's prescribed, and it goes into depth on different things that would benefit from being on steroids, because prednisone is a steroid. It tells you the most important thing about this drug, how you should take the medication, what side effects might occur. Why this drug should not be prescribed to somebody. Anything that's special about this medication, either a warning, or sometimes medications actually boost the properties of another medication. So if you're on one medication and you take prednisone, prednisone may actually strengthen the first medication you're on, and so you need to be aware of that, and maybe even not take less of the medications that you're on that interfere. So food that can interact with it, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, recommended dosage, and overdose. All of this is something that you can pull off the shelf and use right away. It doesn't have to be these specific books. These are just the books that I found at the thrift store 3 days ago. But when I saw PDR and Family Guide, I knew that my children could look up anything in here and understand it, including the right dosage. So that's why I grabbed this one. This is a nursing textbook. I've kept all of the ones that I went through nursing school with, and then when I find a nice one that I feel has a lot of information in it, ones that my children might be able to actually go through and learn from as well, or look something up, I'll go ahead and get it, because, you know, modern medical care is always being updated. So this one is a volume 1, so I only have volume 1 right now. But I wanted to just show you some of the stuff that's in here. This talks about vitamins for adults, what the vitamin is vitamin A, what the recommended daily allowance is, effects of deficiency, symptoms of excess. So right here you can start to nail down, if you have a vitamin deficiency, what the symptoms are. If you're getting too much of a vitamin, what the symptoms are. It tells you where to get it naturally. And there's pages of this. Okay. And then it talks about, the USDA guidelines for food. So you can break all this down and make, in a bad situation, as a prepper, you want to make sure that you have information so you can kind of balance your diet a little bit. And it just keeps going. Serving sizes, this is just on food. It goes into everything, sexual health, okay? Here's, about the lungs. It breaks down what the lungs look like inside so you can picture it. It talks, this is really good. If you have asthma, something like this would be wonderful to actually look at, understand how the lungs work, how herbs would work on the lungs, how medications would work on the lungs. So, a textbook for nursing care is something that I think everybody should have at home. Obviously, you're going to want both volumes. I'll probably try and find the other one at the thrift store because this was a used book by a nursing student who donated it. So the other one's got to be there somewhere. All right, here's another nursing textbook. This one is on nursing care of infants and children, and this one is really vital to have on hand. Any kind of nursing textbook on infants and children, they basically have the same information inside, but children and babies are very different to treat than an adult. Not just their size, but some all medications have to be adjusted according to their weight, sometimes according to their age. If you have a preemie baby, they are not allowed to have some medications simply because they're a preemie baby, even though they're an infant still. You also have to take into consideration that children have disorders and diseases that adults don't get. So it's really important to have this, even if you don't have your own children, if you have grandchildren, if your neighbors have children. Having a book like this available, if the power or the internet goes down, you would be able to treat a child fairly successfully this way and know that you had done everything you could for that child. So I'm just going to open it up real quick to the section that talks about fever and show you what the inside of this would kind of look like. It's got a lot of pictures in here, a lot of information. This section right here talks about feeding a sick child. Right here, what to give, what not to give. It tells you about controlling fevers. Flip the page, talks more about how to control fevers with medication, without medication. It breaks down how much ibuprofen, children's Motrin or Advil to give for a child, and it's all based on pounds. Same over here with Tylenol. And it goes into how to keep the temperature down just naturally. You take the layers of clothes off. You can even take the diaper off because the diaper overheats the baby's body. You can put them in a cool tub, not a warm or hot tub. You want it lukewarm, and you want to make sure you get it on their head. All of this is talked about on here because the evaporation technique reduces the baby's temperature, and it doesn't rely on medication at all. So if, right now we're in a infant and child's fever medication crisis where it's very, very difficult to get. And these are things that you can do at home. All different. They're even talking about spritzing the baby's body with water. All of this here you could do without ever giving medication. And so, you can avoid infant seizures. You can avoid all kinds of issues just by reading this. So this is why I think everybody should have nursing textbooks at home. They're super cheap. I mean, these things cost $200 or $300 if you buy them new. You go to the thrift store, you get them for 50 cents or $1 or $4. So an infant and children's, definitely. A general one for the human body, definitely. If you have something specific in your family, like maybe you have elderly parents and you want a textbook on geriatric care, anything specific, you can look for it and usually find it. So as I said in the introduction, the Mosby's Dictionary, it breaks down words, phrases, disorders, diseases. It gives you more information on those very specific, not titles, but whatever the term is, that you're looking up. And this is really helpful because if you're looking through a nursing textbook or some other kind of book and you're like, I have no idea what that word is, and the internet is out and there's no power and there's no way to look it up online, this will help you. So this isn't one that you'll find frequently at a thrift store, but if you keep your eyes open, you will, and you can always find these online very cheap. Used textbooks are just like, you can buy them 50 cents to $4. This one was $4. So I was going to open it up and show you some of the things that are in here. And this is talking about different types of fractures. And it even shows you pictures of the different types of fractures. So this one is where it's just absolutely shattered and into little pieces. Some of these, this one displaced, you could probably see that. A green stick you may not see, but your child or your spouse or somebody will have some swelling, a lot of discoloration, a lot of pain. It's still broken, even though it doesn't look like this and it's not wobbly. So being able to see these things, being able to look up what all of this is really important. At least I think so. And so you can have one of these on. Here's a black widow spider. Shows you what it looks like. Down here it talks about the bite of the black widow spider, and it tells you it feels like a sharp pinprick, followed by dull pain in the area of the bite, restlessness, anxiety, sweating, weakness, and drooping eyelids. Muscular rigidity starts at the location of the bite and moves in the peripherally to the chest. Small children, elderly adults, or persons with heart disorders are most severely affected and may require hospitalization. So, I mean, it tells you a lot of information in that one little section right there. So these are always really good to have on hand. All right, here's another textbook for nurses on pharmacology. And you can get a PDR for physicians, which is very, very detailed. It's what pharmacologists would be using. You can get one for nurses, which is right here. This is basically a PDR, but it's got much more information on it as far as a nursing aspect. You can also get the PDR that I showed you not long ago for family use, so it brings it down to a very easily understandable level of information for you. So I'm going to open this one up specifically to anti-diarrhea agents. Controlling diarrhea is really, really important because you can die from diarrhea. You become so dehydrated that your body shuts down and you can die. Keeping anti-diarrhea medication on hand over the counter is fine, is really, really important. And this one goes into the different types of anti-diarrheals you can get. Everything from over the counter, which is loperamide, to the other ones that are listed here. And there's even one that's an opioid. So if someone's really, really having a severe issue and nothing is stopping it, that would probably be the last resort. But it breaks it down into dosages based on age. It gives you the trade names, the generic names. It goes into what diarrhea is, the importance of stopping it, why it needs to be stopped. It goes into all the different medications that they use. The opioid one, here's the loperamide that you would be getting over the counter. It tells you all about that. Management of infectious diarrhea. So if you have the flu, if you have traveler's diarrhea, if you have, let's say, food poisoning, that's also infectious diarrhea. All of that is here. So it's something that you can just, again, pull off the shelf. You don't have to look it up. If there's no power, if there's no internet, you still can get all the information you need, including dosage and how many times a day you take it. Everything is right here for you. This was also a 50-cent buy at my thrift store. Most mothers, I think, in the United States, if they don't own this, they've heard of it. Prescription for Nutritional Healing. This one is a little dirty, so I'm probably going to get something and wipe off the cover. But this one covers nutritional healing. So it's food, it's supplements, it's herbs, it's exercise, everything that everything except medications basically would be found in here. So this is always also a good one to have on hand. And I'm going to show you just really briefly asthma. So it talks about what asthma is, what the asthma attacks feel like, what could be causing the asthma. I mean, it goes into it here. Animal dander, chemicals, drugs, dust mite, environmental pollutants, feathers, food additives, fumes, mold, and tobacco smoke. But any kind of an allergen can participate in asthma attack. So, I mean, it goes into detail here. You have a lot of information to read through. And then it talks about supplements, and even interesting ones like the bee pollen. I use bee venom on my rheumatoid arthritis joints, and that's very helpful. It goes into herbs that you can use. I love lobelia. I will always say lobelia is my one go-to with asthma. We have gotten rid of almost all of our inhalers simply because of lobelia. Lobelia you can grow. You can make your own lobelia tincture, and it works really, really well. But, you know, this is just a lot of information. More information on asthma, considerations on asthma, and all the way to here. So quite a few pages just on asthma. So this one is also a good one to have on hand. So for $11.50, I was able to buy 7 books to add to my bookshelves specifically for medical issues. So I would really encourage you right now, while they're cheap, while they're readily available, while nobody else is gathering these as part of their prepping, now's the time to get these. And try and get one on medications or pharmacology. Try to get one on basic nursing care. Get one on infants and children. Get one on first aid, especially any kind of first aid that kind of walks you through what a doctor would do. There's so many on Amazon, and I can provide links in the descriptions of my favorite ones, which I do have, but they're boxed up because we're in the middle of moving right now, which is a little bit hard to make videos like this because all my good stuff is boxed up. Yeah, so if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. If you aren't sure if you should get something, you know, like one on elderly care, or, you know, if your family has something specific like food allergies, you know, you want to get something that covers your needs, and then you want to get books that cover a wide variety, so that anybody that you come in contact with, your neighbors, people at church, your coworkers, anybody who needs the information and they can't get it because the internet's down, you've got that information to help them. Along with that, always make sure you have plenty of medication stocked, both over the counter and prescription. There is a way to get prescription medications without a prescription by buying overseas. It's easy to do, and you can very quickly start stocking up more than you realize you can actually get. If you have questions, put them in the comments.